So Unchained was really founded by myself and Drew Bansal, and our relationship goes back a long time. We've been working together for 15 years. So between that and that loyalty and that trust we have with each other, that's something that imbues a lot of the relationships and culture around our workplace. We tend to be very trusting. We have a lot of faith in each other, and there's a lot of high-powered kind of technical capabilities and competence among the Unchained organization. So that's some of the ways that I think our relationship and personalities as co-founders has left an imprint on the business. And additionally, as we've been around for 8 years, Unchained has, I think, a unique culture that has been refined and at some points just sort of innovated over the years. I've sought to, as I can, kind of be a steward of that culture, also a librarian. So what I've observed over time and what I've managed to kind of coalesce into our standard corporate values are a little bit unique. They're not your typical corporate values that just have integrity or a couple words that sound really great. Even though those may be good ways to go about developing a standard for culture, ours I thought was like process of discovery. What does a Bitcoin native financial services firm look like? What are the values inside of that firm that are appropriate for that kind of business? So some of the values that we've come up with are value number 1, Bitcoin is our common purpose. We intend to hold Bitcoin for our lifetimes and pass it on as an asset. And we know there are plenty of other people out there like us, and those are our clients. And so we'd like to think that we have that in common with our clients in the business we're in. We have learned over time that you need more than Bitcoin being your common purpose. We're also a business, so that's why we do charge for things. We do maintain investor relationships and maintain a track to be around for a long time as a business. So our value number 1 is Bitcoin is our common purpose, and it's not our only purpose. We are a founder-led organization and a business, and we perform on those things as well, so we can be around to serve Bitcoin for the longest term possible. Our second corporate value is extreme ownership. This may be familiar to folks who have read the book. It's also titled Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink. It's a really great concept. I think it's there for anyone who's been in any kind of team-based environment. It's easy sometimes for those environments to devolve into blame, like shame and blame type behaviors that it's your fault, who needs to fix this, who's the person that's responsible, these kinds of things. What extreme ownership says is you ask yourself the question, how did I contribute to that failure? When something goes wrong in compliance, maybe compliance has some blame, but there could have been something else management could have done to have headed that off. A typical blame culture might look at a issue in customer support as a problem with that customer support person, but in an extreme ownership culture, the product team is also going to take responsibility for that feature that wasn't quite right, or the way in which that training for that customer support person wasn't done adequately, so they were left, maybe flubbing a client communication or not being as professional as they could have been if they were better prepared. So extreme ownership is a really important value for us as a team. It's there at every all hands and within our internal communication tools. We are often really looking for instances where something went wrong, and how can we all swarm that? How can we all redress the issue and try to fix it from our own respective vantage points in the team. Now there's a corollary to extreme ownership that we say is, and we need to prioritize and delegate. I think one of the things that happens in startups and organizations as they grow is you have many talented people here, some of whom decide to martyr themselves over their tasks or their plate or their issues, and they start to take on too much. So there's some discipline you want to exercise. Not everything has to be something that is your fault or something that you have to fix. So prioritizing what is there to do today and delegating so that it's actually on the other right person's plate. It's one of the ways to try to manage kind of overwhelm among the team. Now our third value is going to be familiar with many in the Bitcoin space, and that is a low time preference. Low time preference means instead of valuing, say, pleasure or reward now, we choose to take that reward or have that pleasure in the future or over time, especially in a way that doesn't compromise like your position now or create excess risk. So that value shows up in a lot of places at the company. It's there at our root in terms of being long-term focused. Going back to Drew's and my relationship, we have been with business partners for 15 years. We'd love to be business partners for another 15 years and more. So from those kind of lifetime length relationships, that creates a lot of tolerance for trust, a lot of tolerance for uncertainty, and a really wide berth for kind of making decisions, birthing creativity, having fun, inside of this very long-term time horizon. It also means that wherever possible, we don't create excess risk for ourselves by trying to make an easy decision or go for something that seems easy or the right thing just because it makes that pain go away. Often this kind of thing shows up in the choice to use third-party tools or not. So maybe marketing says, oh, hey guys, we just need to pull all this stuff together in this tool, and then it'll make this report or this kind of campaign much more easy. Where we try to exercise a lot of restraint and thinking on those matters is, okay, what is this risk from maybe a client data and client privacy perspective? How would we feel if this was out in the newspaper the next day, or that third-party service got hacked? What are we putting at risk? So we're very careful in our use of third parties. We're very careful to use things as much as possible that we have full control over, and we don't have that kind of dependency on a third party. And so those kinds of risk management programs and the choices and behaviors there really derive from very much this value of a low time preference and making sure that Unchained is around for the long term. At the same time as having a low time preference, we also work to ensure that we act with urgency. As much as we intend to be around or confident that Unchained will last decades and on into the future, that doesn't mean we don't take action today. And often the kinds of things that ensure a startup or an organization sticks around is the way it works on its own survival in the here and now. So we do maintain still a high tempo operating cadence internally, working to make sure that we're, as far as so far this year, I believe we've shipped updates to our platform on a weekly basis through our product and engineering teams. So it's examples like that of kind of really making sure that while the value is low time preference, corollary to that is that we also act with urgency and speed.